Welcome to Real Estate AI Flash, the podcast that helps real estate professionals understand how AI is changing real estate and the strategies you can use to win. I'm your host, Rajeev Sajja. In today's episode, we explore how agents can move beyond using AI as a simple chatbot and start using it as a true business partner. I'm joined by Janet Nowlin, broker owner of NextHome Integrity Realty, who shares how she has combined her background in technology, education, and real estate to build AI-powered systems that save time, streamline operations, and improve decision-making. If you've been using AI primarily for content creation, this conversation will challenge you to think bigger about what's possible when AI becomes a true teammate in your business. Let's dive in with Janet. Welcome to another episode, July 1 episode of Real Estate AI Flash. And today I have Janet Nowlin with NextHome Integrity Realty, a wholly owned subsidiary, hot off the presses recently, of eXp Realty. She's based in Mechanicsville, Virginia, right outside of Richmond. And looking forward to having the conversation, Janet. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Rajeev. I am thrilled to be here. Thanks for the invite.
Of course. So Janet and I sort of connected a couple of times. Once I was at their broker summit in Phoenix last year, and then most recently in Dallas at their agent event, and they put on a show. I got to tell you, if you ever get a chance to go to the NextHome event, even as like a sneak in, it's a great event. Great energy, great brand, love the people, love James and Keith, and all things they do for the industry as well. So. And I bumped into Janet, and she was doing some good stuff with AI, and I felt like it was an opportune time to get a next homie on the podcast. So,
am I
Janet,
your first next homie?
You are the first next homie, not the last.
Awesome.
Well, I should say that. Actually, I've had Keith on the pod.
Of course.
In 2024. Yes, 2024. Yeah, December, somewhere in there. So he was the early, but true next homie, not an exec. You are the first. So they take credit. So Janet, for the listening audience, I'd love for them to kind of get to know you a little bit in terms of how you got into real estate and bring us to today.
Okay, well, I got into real estate in a really sideways way. This is my third career. My first was 25 years in IT. I was into programming and database. I did IT training, trained the execs, taught people how to use Google Mail, taught people how to use Windows because we migrated from Windows back in my day. Spent a lot of time in user support. After that, I had a child and ended up 15 years in teaching to support needs, and because honestly, we need great teachers. I taught math, I taught gifted, I taught IT, strangely enough. I taught web design and computer programming at a tech center here in the Richmond area at the high school level. And I coached robotics and just had a great time with it. After 15 years, my husband and I were buying a home. We were selling our existing home and buying another home. And of course, what happened is I got into all things listing and started playing with numbers and looking at Zillow and looking at realtor.com and finding out that Zillow's information was maybe not completely accurate about my own home. School districts were not right. Z estimates made no sense whatsoever. Don't even get me started on algorithms. Bringing that IT background into real estate was like, what on earth are you people doing?
Yeah. You know what I would say about this estimate? It was a great marketing decision on part of Zillow. And it sort of supports this quote I have that never get the facts get in the way of a good story. So
Yes.
It's like, it started a bunch of conversations. This is not the value of my home. And it puts the professional like yourself at the center of dissecting that information and, fact versus fiction,
Yeah, most definitely. That's hopefully where you are with your clients and not them just being blindly addicted to Zillow and the Z estimate.
Right, for sure. Yeah.
But that all just kind of drove us to my agent saying, and she's awesome, and we're still friends and love her to death. she's a great agent. And she said, why aren't you doing this? You're doing the job. Why aren't you doing this? And my husband looked at me and he's like, yeah, why aren't you doing this? And I said, really? And he said, yeah. And I said, cool, let's go do this. So I got my license. 3 years in, I said, I need to be a broker and I need to do this my way. Got my broker's license, and here I am, a NextHomie. Been a NextHomie. This is 3.5 years into my brokerage experience. Best thing I've ever done for myself. Best thing I've ever done for my family. Like you said, NextHome. I mean, don't want to make it a NextHome commercial, but I don't know how you can't if you're a NextHomie, because James, Keith, Charis, the entire organization. Humans over houses is the tagline, and
Yeah.
they walk the walk. They don't just talk the talk. It is an amazing organization. It's right where I belong, and yeah, it's right where I belong, at the intersection of IT and real estate.
For sure, for sure. No, I think all the words you said about Next Home and the people behind the brand, I fully agree with. I want to throw your marketing genius Pecha in there
Oh
because
my
I've
gosh, yes.
interacted with her. Yeah, yeah, and I know you meant that in terms of your whole group and leadership
The
group. So
whole the whole group of them, every single
the
one of
whole group
them.
of them, yeah, for sure. So, what was your first like light bulb moment, Janet, with AI?
So I started out probably like everybody else, just trying to figure it all out and saying, what on earth are we doing here?
Yeah,
Using it as glorified Google, asking it to make listing descriptions, asking it to find restaurants in the area, doing all the things that everybody kind of does when you dip your toe in. And then after I played with ChatGPT for a while, somebody turned me on to Perplexity.
yeah,
And I said, ooh, this is more up my alley. This is a little more techy. This is a little different. And what I found in Perplexity was a true task section where you could create tasks. And it was intuitive to create a task that was repetitive, that did what I wanted it to do on a schedule. And I was like, ooh, I can see uses for this. So I started doing social media posts. I had it generating social media posts for me for a whole week, and emailing it to me on Sunday. So on Sunday, I had an entire stack of my week's social media, anything that my existing systems weren't doing for me. Um, Obviously, not the day to day fun stuff that I still need to do, but all of those things that I would sit down and research and figure out, hey, what are the national holidays coming up? What are the national days? Is it Pet Your Greyhound Day this week? What are the different things? And having it make those connections for me, and I could do that with a prompt that was repetitive, that every week just gave me what I needed. So all I had needed to do was post. And then I sat there figuring out how long will it take me to get it to just post it itself too, and kind of dropped that because there's some nuances there. But at least it saved me hours.
yeah. So that was your first like light bulb moment of
That was the first one. The second one was bigger because I started using Claude.
yeah,
And one day I was walking because I talk to Claude when I walk, which is a great thing because I have to get my steps in. So Claude is my best friend. No one else wants to walk with me. I'm too slow. I was talking to Claude and venting about things that were going on and the chaos of being a small boutique brokerage and having to do it all, and the things that nobody tells you, those things that you're just like, oh my gosh, I didn't think I would have to do this. Um, Having your data live in 12 different places and trying to pull it all together. And Claude came back and basically said to me, we can fix that. Let's build you a dashboard. And I went, oh my God, can we do that? And that was really the beginning of the insanity for me because, yes, if I can think it, we can build it. And I now have a dashboard. So instead of saying, what can I ask it? I became looking at it and saying, what problem can we solve together? That was, for me, from an IT perspective and a brokerage perspective, the real huge light bulb, because I now have this dashboard that is game changing for my sanity and my productivity. This is where I go every morning. My transaction processing is in there. My brokerage books are in there. My MLS, my project tracker, my email, my calendar. And I have a news ticker that just delivers what I want to see. So I'm not out in the socials getting dragged into all of the things that are huge rabbit holes that I don't need to go down every morning.
Yeah.
It's been amazing.
I think the big takeaway as you're talking about this, if you're listening to Janet, we all start with AI as a chatbot. Google, replacement for Google, searching for something, talking to, I call my AI Donna, talking to Donna, like Claude, OpenAI, doesn't matter. I think all the tools, any of the chatbots you pick, have this functionality. So I want to kind of lay in a little bit of what Janet covered. So Claude sort of took a little bit of a lead, more mature at this moment in time, but you can literally create scheduled tasks with all of the three big large language models, Gemini, Claude, and ChatGPT. And once you start moving away from the chatbot experience to building a teammate or a digital worker experience, the sky's the limit in terms of what you can build. And I think you need to tackle, what do you do every day, every week? Pick one or two areas. So I'll give you a good example, Janet. For me, I have a weekly newsletter that goes out every Tuesday morning, Real Estate AI Flash. We'll put a link to it in the show notes. A few thousand agents that get it. And I look at the stats for the previous week, click-throughs, open rates, content, etc. And to your point, they have a connector in Claude. I built a custom dashboard I just look at. And you can build anything you'd want to build because you can bring your data in, whether it's your email with Gmail, your calendar. And I've started to use Granola as an example for meeting notes. Every meeting I'm on, it sort of records a transcript of my meeting notes. Anyway, there's so many meeting notes. But what's good about Granola is it connects that into Claude. So every Friday I used to do something called review and preview, Janet. So I
Right.
reviewed my week, previewed my next week. And I simply ask Claude now, review my week and tell me very important items from the things I said I was going to follow up on and what's coming up next week. It's just a command, English, plain English.
Yep.
It gives me all of my high level takeaways from all of the meetings I was in the previous week, the week that was, the week that is. So I think you need to find a couple of areas, look at connectors in Claude or plugins in ChatGPT. Both do pretty much the same thing. Gemini is catching up pretty fast, but I think those two are probably a little bit in the lead, with Claude being a little bit more mature. But I'll tell you, if you start using it at that level, you'll quickly run out of the $20 a month plan. That's a whole other topic. We'll talk about Claude loves tokens like there's no tomorrow. So this is not about token efficiency and your budget,
Right.
but start looking at automation at that level so you can literally start your day hours in saved, to your point, Janet.
Yeah, most definitely. And there are hours we need to use elsewhere if we're producing
100%. Yeah.
productive agents.
So let's kind of dig into some specific use cases. What I loved about having you on, Janet, is you're sort of broker owner, but you're also supporting agents. You buy, you sell, you have clients. So you're seeing both sides of efficiency. So let's talk about 3 or 4 things that really have made an impact in your learnings and what you're seeing with your clients and agents. Start where we want to start.
Well, I'll start with content automation because that one is, it's the ripe fruit ready to pick. Honestly, it's the next step. If you've already played with ChatGPT or with Gemini or with any of them, conversationally, the next thing is tell it what you need it to do. Get good at telling it what you want it to do, and have it do it. So manually creating social content is just boring. It's tedious. have it do it. It writes well. One of the really good uses is the writing skill. It writes really well, and I can say this from an educator's perspective. It writes really well. I'm scared for our children because they will never learn how to write, unfortunately. But I went in and created a system where I can give it a weekly long form content blog post that I want to talk about, give it a topic, give it my points of view, and then have it write the blog post and call that down into a whole week's worth of social media content for all of my channels.
Yeah.
Then Sunday morning, everything is in my inbox, ready to go. I didn't have to sit down and write it all. I didn't have to pull out those pieces that I thought, what's going to be good on a Facebook? What's going to be good on LinkedIn? What are the different things I can do here and there? Because of its mass amount of knowledge, it's helping me make those decisions. That's where agents need to head. They're not there yet. At least most of the ones that I talk to aren't there yet. But it's a really good carrot to say, hey, here's something you can do that's going to save you time and give you back your day to do the things that really matter. And the things that really matter if you're a producing agent is building relationships with real people. If you're a broker, it's building relationships with your agents and doing the things that you need to do as a broker and being in your community. It's not sitting behind the computer writing all of these Facebook posts. That's where I would say the first kind of the next level in it.
Content automation, content creation is everybody where people started. The next level to that is a little bit more of automation. You still have human in the loop where you're sort of looking at what you're posting, putting your points of view. I love the fact that you mentioned you don't just take what it gives you, give you your point of view. And same thing. So a fun story this weekend, I decided to create something in Claude Design. So as you know, we have a podcast, and I wanted to create a Instagram carousel design that has my wordings, my brand, my font, the whole thing. So I created that in Claude Design. It took me about 45 minutes going back and forth to tweak it. And then what I can do, Janet, is drop a podcast transcript or just give it some thoughts or an article, whatever it is. And I say, give me 6 carousel of the key highlights, walk away, go get coffee. And 2 minutes later, I have the 6 carousel on brand, on design, every single time. So that's an example. To your point, what you're doing with automation and what this design example is, move away from a chatbot experience to a coworker experience. And that's really, I think, the evolution of where people are that really embraced AI. So that's a great example, content automation. What's next?
Next is the fluency gap, actually. It is agents not understanding how to speak the language yet. And I think that feeds back into how your content is coming out. And I just wrote a Substack about this, that, talking about all of the obvious AI influence in a lot of people's posts. You want AI to sound like you.
Yeah.
You cannot remove yourself from your process. So there's a lot of tweaking that has to go in there, and agents have to understand and have to learn how to do that so they don't give up who they are in favor of being a robot. But because you don't speak the language yet, what you end up doing is there's a lot of enterprise pricing out there for tools that people are now paying for. And it's kind of sad because you can build those tools. You don't need to pay that high price for it. And there's so much out there where the shiny object syndrome, hey, you need to buy this, hey, you need to buy this. And you really don't. You just need to understand how to do this. One of the biggies that I see right now is the difference between the Google search and being found in an AI search and using AEO. Agents are still being pushed to do SEO, get your Google out there, do this, do that. When what's now happening and where you need to be is making sure that you're showing up in ChatGPT when somebody says, who's the best agent in my neighborhood? And they're two completely different problems, and they require a different level of thinking. And that's some of the training that I want to provide to agents to try to get them there.
And we
It's
talk
just the
about this,
next
Janet.
iteration.
100%. I think you're onto something. I think we've had several guests on the podcast talk about winning business because they position themselves in AEO, answer engine optimization. And we'll put a link to, in my mind, there's a couple of ways you need to sort of tackle this. One is, your foundational stuff, your bios across the board, right? We talk about that in bio optimization. And then on your website is the content written for AI agents or these large language models compared to humans. Write it in a way that humans can get the answer as well as AI can get the answer. And I think we talk about writing specialization pages and answering the question people are actually asking in AI, whether it is on your website and or YouTube. So I think YouTube is also, if you can focus on that strategy, I think there is this, I think the next few months, balance of 2026 is a little bit of a gold rush moment, I believe, for real estate agents to really showcase their expertise and be discoverable in AI.
Yeah,
So that's a good takeaway.
simple
So we've
example.
got content automation. Yeah, go ahead.
Simple example, I put up I have a referral agency that's separate from my NextHome, and I put up a little system that I wrote in Claude. In less than a week, I had agents calling me because they found me on ChatGPT, wanting to set up with this referral agency that had referral only licenses. Crazy. It doesn't even have a Google business page.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm glad you mentioned that because one of the agents I talk about, she's in Vermont, and she put up specialization pages. Same thing. And when I put her page through my custom GPT, it said this page ranks 6.6 out of a 10 in terms of the depth of what it covers. But because there's not enough people doing it, it's still ranked very high because it's going to show what's available. So I think if you understand the specifics, we'll put a link to both those custom GPTs in the show notes so you can understand what they do. One is bio optimization and the other one is AI answer builder. Good place to start to kind of get your feet wet so you can actually go and do your own thing like Janet has. So talk a little bit about the referral agent stuff that you built.
So I built a system for myself to run my referral agency because I got tired of editing PDFs and going back and forth with referral agents who were basically scattering PDFs out there to try to get referrals from a variety of different people until their clients picked somebody, and it just got kind of old. So I just built something for me that all the agents have to do is go in there and put the information that they would have put on a PDF into the back end of the system, into a portal, and it sends me an email and says, hey, there's a new referral from such and such an agent. All I have to do is click a button. The system creates the PDF, stamps it with my signature, and sends it to me to send to the receiving brokerage to make sure that I've got the right broker and all the right information is on there. It's one click and one email that used to take me a ridiculous amount of time editing PDFs and trying to do all these things because my agents don't know how to do it. They're just sending me a name. I've tried getting them to fill in PDFs. That doesn't always work right because not everybody has the tools and the technology. Even if you do it through DigiSign or something else, it just becomes tedious. So yeah, just front to back, done. It's simple. It's beautiful. I absolutely love it. And then 2 weeks after I launched it for myself, one of my NextHome agents called me and said, hey, I want that. So I turned around and made it multi-tenant, and it's now a whole system that I can get other agents into, other brokers into, and it's that's been that's a whole other side of things. But I now have a software development company as well.
And what's interesting to me, Janet, what's interesting to me is this. Although you have a tech background, even if, and this was done literally assuming you have no tech background, because you can just converse with AI and it will kind of lead you down the steps to build what you need to build.
Yeah,
And that's why I've always believed in the age of AI, the most powerful programming language is conversational language. If you're just curious and ask the questions, I think you're going to get there sooner than most. So stay insanely curious, and you will overtake a lot of people if you just stay curious.
absolutely, absolutely.
So,
Yeah, and
well, what else?
that's
Anything else, Janet, that you
that
had?
was actually my third point was to use AI as a thought partner,
Yeah,
and
perfect.
I've built tools around that for agents and things that I've shared with our next home agents. I have an entire AI resource where they can go in and just play and try to develop prompts and do different things um, to help them get their feet wet and do it in a place that is non-judgmental, in an environment where they can be safe to explore. The human side of the business as well, objection handling, role playing difficult conversations, getting assistance writing. I had to write a termination the other day, and yes, I know how to do that, but it's great to bounce your ideas off and say, hey, how's this going to come across? Am I going to come across as snarky? Am I going to come across, here's how the other agent has been. It's just been such a wonderful environment to be able to use that knowledge that it has, but then to take it and make it truly me.
100%. 100%. Well said. Well said. Let me get to the final two questions. Did you have anything else you want to kind of add on the AI front before we get to the
Nope.
final two questions?
I think you got me. I think we got it all.
All right.
I could talk about this for days.
Yeah, no. We
Rajeev.
talked about content automation. No, Janet. I think there was a lot of takeaways here. We talked about content automation, building a system that you can rely on for daily, weekly activities with the connector stuff that we talked about, and your referral agent platform that you built with literally no coding experience. And then using AI as a thought partner, I call it, use it as a sparring partner. If you were to learn boxing, sparring partner, right? It's not just a yes man or a yes woman, right? Because AI likes to agree with you. The more you push it back and kind of have a conversation, you get a better output for sure. So great takeaways. So my final two questions, I don't know if you're a book or a podcast person, Janet.
Um, I'm a puzzle and game person, so I get off track on either of those sometimes. But your podcasts and James and Keith definitely keep me going. But in the book
Well, I will tell you,
realm,
I was going to say that the two podcasts you can't mention is the Real Estate Unfiltered podcast and the Real Estate AI Flash podcast, because they're on your list anyway. Is there
they
another
are.
one that you sort of lean on that helps you? Is there another one that you lean on, podcast, outside of those two?
No, not anybody in particular, really. Every now and
Okay.
then I'll see something come across and jump in.
Yeah.
Lee Brown is one of my faves too, but she's a whole different.
Yeah, I hear you. Okay. So you've been in the industry now how long in real estate?
Since 2018,
Okay, so 6 years in or 8 years in almost.
almost.
If you had to give a one piece of advice to your younger self, Janet, whether it is business, life, AI, doesn't matter. One piece of advice that you feel has greatly influenced you, or you would, if you had to start over again, you'd apply that in your business. What would that be?
Self-confidence isn't aggressive. Knowing your worth, standing up for who you are. It's not pushy, it's not arrogant. Even if you're a woman, it's not pushy and it's not arrogant. Imposter syndrome is real. I spent years fighting it, battling it, constantly thinking I have to prove myself everywhere I go, not quite believing that I belong where I am. I would definitely tell the younger me that the agents who struggle most with AI adoption, defending your commissions, walking into a listing appointment against bigger fish, it's not a skills problem, it's a belief problem. And that's part of the game that nobody teaches you. There's a lot of things that you can be taught, and there's a lot of things that you can practice. But if you don't have that self-confidence and belief in yourself, you're going to have an issue implementing tools anyway.
That's awesome. I think if there's one thing that you can take from that is obviously self-confidence, belief, knowing that you belong in the rooms that you are in, knowing that you belong in those conversations, I think is a huge stepping stone for you to accomplish great things in any field. As a real estate agent, learning things, and Janet, I've not heard anyone talk about that piece of advice like the way you did. So I appreciate it. And this has been a fun conversation. And I hope to meet you in real life sometime real soon.
Yes, definitely. I hope you will be at our next conference coming up here in Nashville. We've got our broker
Nashville.
our broker event in September.
Well, I hope to see you sometime real soon. Take care, Janet.
Thank you, Rajeev.
If you found value in the show, follow it so you're notified every Wednesday when new episodes drop. Share it with someone in the industry you care for, and leave us a review as it helps us reach more real estate professionals like you.